Hey everybody, I am Sharon and I am here today to encourage your soul, mind, will, and emotions in order to live a soul-able life. And I am so excited today because I have a special guest with me, my eldest daughter, Ashia.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
Welcome, Ashia. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just turn this over to her because we have some very interesting things to talk about, and I can't wait to get to those things.
Okay, so today I just want to talk about love. I had actually asked my mom, a while back, if we could do this kind of segment on love, just because of our current state, just being a millennial and trying to navigate life, love, and becoming more mature and getting older. So I felt who better to ask than my mother. She's been married for 25
Going on
years,
25 years.
going on 25 years. And, I see my parents and I want to make sure that, I'm making the right choices in my life regarding love. And I just see them as a really good example. And so I just kind of wanted to ask her some questions, and I hope that what she says and what we ask, can really touch someone and, give an example or just kind of give them something to think about.
Yeah.
So, as far as love, how would you define love first off?
So, first off, let me say this. I am in no way a love guru or consider myself to be. So, these answers are based on partially biblical as well as from my personal experiences and my opinion. And so, how would I define love? Before I can answer what is love or define what love is, I first must define who love is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is so key because a lot of people, they don't really think about that. I think
Right.
when you ask people what is love, they mostly say things like, you know, they describe it as an emotion
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or a physical thing
Mm-hmm.
or even action. Love is an action word.
Right.
And I'm not saying that love aren't those things,
Mm-hmm.
but we must define who love is
Mm-hmm.
before we can get into the other words of love.
Right. Right.
And in 1 John 4, chapter 8 of the Bible, it says that God is love.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't have love without him because he is love.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my definition of love, God. Then I guess we'd have to say love is more of a being, it's an existence
Okay.
versus a feeling or emotion or an action.
Right. Right. I really can understand that, like I said, as I've gotten older and, realizing what love is not based upon the experience that came with it. And then, knowing that God's love is never failing, you know what I'm saying?
Never.
And so when you experience his love, it's an ongoing up and up thing, you know what I mean? Like you're
Yes.
just going up, consistently elevating, and with that in mind, people, have a tendency to shy away from it, maybe because they haven't really experienced God love, right? Or they don't know where love comes from, and where it originates and who it is. So for those who are maybe have not necessarily sworn off love, or kind of like they have backed off of it or feel like it's not for them, like what would you say to
Yes.
them?
Yeah. Love is for everyone. Love created everyone,
Mm.
and love loves everyone.
Oh wow.
So there is no backing off from love when it's seen from the perspective of God's side or point of
Mhm.
view. You can't back off from love. You can turn your back on love, but
Mhm.
he's always there. See,
Yeah.
he's omnipresent. I've heard people say things like, we're looking for love in all the wrong places. And, I'm not saying that that statement isn't true because to
Mhm.
a certain extent, it is. Sometimes we do look for love in all the wrong places.
Mhm.
However, when you think it from this perspective, is that love is in all places.
Yeah.
He's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think the real thing is we're looking for love in all the wrong things and in all the wrong
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's really, I think, key right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that God never shies away. He's always there, even when we're not, because we're not flawless and we're not perfect. So even
Right.
when we're not walking, maybe in His will or the way that we should be,
Mm-hmm.
He's still there. We're the ones who turn away and
Yeah.
walk away.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That is so true. I, I look and see that thing. People are on social media and they've been heartbroken. They've, experienced that so-called like red flag relationship, and you got to think or wonder, was this person the person you're supposed to be loving? Do either of you even know what love was, or how to love one another? I want to ask, for those who feel like they love and they have so much love to give, and they may not have like a way to express or someone to express it to, what would you say to them to, I guess, maybe encourage them to continue to still hold that love, or have love in their
you know,
heart for people and things?
right. So it's just about building a relationship with love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You have to fall in love with love.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that foundation
Mm-hmm.
and you build that relationship
Mm-hmm.
with who love is,
Yeah.
see, then you don't have a problem holding on to love, even if you're certain, because there's a lot of single people out there
Mm-hmm.
who, you're right, they've been hurt or they've
Mm-hmm.
given up, or they feel like, am I ever going to
Yeah.
find or have that real love?
Mm-hmm.
You first have to find it in Him, and
Mm-hmm.
then we have to wait.
Yeah.
We
Mm-hmm.
have to be patient, and we have to wait, and we have to trust love.
Me too. You're
That
right.
and when we meet people,
Mm-hmm.
there are some people, I understand that there are many people out there who may not believe in love. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking about the noun or the word love. I'm talking about God love. They may
Mm-hmm.
not. And so we definitely want to be equally yoked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to make sure that the person that you're sharing your heart with and the person that you're giving all of your love to
Mm-hmm.
is someone who actually believes in love. You have to
Mm-hmm.
believe in that same love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And really, to be honest with you, and I know this may ruffle some feathers with some people, but if you don't have God, you really don't have real love.
Mm.
You cannot have real love
Yeah.
without the Creator.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those are things that we have to ponder and examine ourselves to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that we're tapped into real love and the person whom we're trying to love,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they're not loving us back. We have to
Mm-hmm.
make sure they're tapped into real love as well,
You're
because if
right.
there's not a connection there,
Yeah.
if you don't
Yeah.
have that foundation of love and
Right.
both of you are not plugged into
Yes.
love,
Mm-hmm.
then you have there's a problem. Houston, there's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's so true,
Yeah.
and that makes me think about this too. Um, since we've come into like a new generation of things, people are always about like self love and self care, and serving their needs and things like that. And when I think about love and relationships and marriage, that selfishness, it can't survive. Like you can't really, like, how you
Right.
can't really do well. The relationship won't do well if it's just
Right.
about one, because it's a union of two people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like I said, you've been married for almost 25 years.
Yes.
Um, how do you navigate that? How do you, I mean, two people coming together who
Totally
are
different.
different. Yes, like, I think about that. Like I said, over the years, I've, my view of marriage has definitely drastically changed. And
Yes.
like I said, by watching you and dad, my sister and brother-in-law, and just other people's relationships, and it's a wonder. It's like, man, I know that ain't nothing but God,
Yes. Yes.
keeping that union together,
Most definitely. And let me just say this. The first question was, how do I define love or
Hmm.
what love is? Let me tell you what love is not.
Yeah.
Love is not selfish.
Yeah. Yeah.
It cannot be.
Hmm.
So I understand, and yes, You have to love yourself
Mm-hmm.
before you can love others.
Yeah.
But that self-love has to come from God love.
Yeah.
You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
We have to love him first,
Mm-hmm.
love ourselves, and then we can love others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can't love others being selfish. It
That is
just
true.
does not work. It's like
That is
oil and
true.
water. It
Mm-hmm.
will not mix.
Right.
And I always have to reference God's word.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about the act of Jesus when he
Mm.
unselfishly came down, like this being is in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sitting on the throne,
Yes.
with a crown. I mean, like
Yes.
ruler over all things.
Yes.
And he himself leaves
Mm-hmm.
all of that to
Right.
come down here and walk on dirt in the earth
Couldn't
just
help.
like a human man.
Couldn't anybody just do that?
Couldn't anybody just do that?
Right.
So how unselfish, because we can be sitting, okay, it's hot outside in the
Mm-hmm.
summertime, for example.
Right.
And we're sitting all up in the air conditioning, in the cool or whatever like that. And
Right.
somebody like, let's go outside in the hot sun and serve, maybe some homeless people, or let's pass out cold water to people. You're like, I'm sitting up in this house,
Right.
cooling out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's hot out there. I ain't trying to get out there in the hot sun. Just use that
Right.
as an example.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to leave the comfort of your home.
Right.
You're the king or queen of your castle. You got to go out in this hot sun and
Right.
serve others or do things like that. But,
Mm-hmm.
he did that and then some.
He did.
Well, we can't be selfish. We
Right.
have to sometimes get out of our comfort zone and go into something that will help others. When it comes to marriage, I have to say, definitely say that you cannot go into a marriage selfishly.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to understand that in marriage, in love, in any relationship, we talk about the good fuzzy feelings on the
Mm-hmm.
inside, the butterflies, the love, the happiness,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't want to talk about the fact that sometimes love can cause a little discomfort.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes love can feel a little painful
Mm-hmm.
because of the sacrifice, because we have
Mm-hmm.
to give up. But that's all a part of love as well, because it's for your good.
Mm-hmm.
Love is never meant to leave you in a hurt or a bad state of mind. If that's the case, then it's not love.
Right.
Even when we're not always walking righteously, God
Mm-hmm.
has to chastise his own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's uncomfortable as well. So
Yeah.
there's times in every relationship where it's going to be discomfort, and you have to give up some things. I'll say this: at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
you should come out better on the other side.
Yes. 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 I think about like Jesus's ministry, and how he showed love to everyone. He A lot of the things that he called us to do were hard, but like you said, we come out better on the other side.
Yes.
And that to me is a miracle in itself, because for those who may have never thought they would be in love, for those who would have never thought that they could do this or sacrifice this, and then they see that, to see that change, to see that someone, that growth. Yes. I mean, I think that's a beautiful thing. And we were just talking about growth and being able to see that change, and it's like you're looking back like, oh my God, thank you.
Yes.
It's a miracle. I never thought that I could get to this point. And so once again, just coming back to marriage and relationships and doing the hard things, making the sacrifices,
Yes.
and then coming, like you said, coming out on the other side of that thing a better person. In marriage, what do you feel like were the lessons that you learned, in love,
Yes.
during your time as you've been growing and just being the person that God really called you to be in that marriage?
Right. Iron sharpened iron.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said earlier, it's not easy always to
Mm-hmm.
become one with someone that you're totally different. You have
Mm-hmm.
a different back. First of all, you have totally different genders.
Yes.
A man and a woman. We think totally different.
Yes.
Most people can agree with that.
Yes.
And you're coming together as one,
Mm-hmm.
to be on one accord.
Right.
So that's the first thing, is learning how to use, or I would say take from each other.
Mm-hmm.
His strengths and your strengths, or her strengths and your strengths, and you put those things together, and maybe somebody to lean on, actually,
Mm-hmm.
where you're weak, they're strong, and they can help
Yeah.
carry you in those times.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you come together and make each other better.
Yes.
Because we all have strong suits, and then we have some that we need to grow and be strengthened
Right.
in. And so that's what a couple does in a marriage, is
Mm-hmm.
we help each other to grow and develop in those areas where we need help, and vice versa. And so I can definitely see that with my husband and I, because he's a business entrepreneur, and
Mm-hmm.
he has a very strong,
Mm-hmm.
personality. He's not shy, or, so he goes
Mm-hmm.
out there, he does what he needs to do.
Yes.
He says what he needs to say.
Yeah.
On the other hand, initially I was more reserved. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? I'm a little bit
Mm-hmm.
reserved. I don't know if I should say that, or do that.
Mm-hmm.
But since we've been together over all these years, he's really helped me to be able to move forward in business myself, to be able to
Yeah.
step out and stand for what I believe, and to
Mm-hmm.
say what I need to say and do what I need to do to make sure that my business is strong and successful.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I would say that with me, I've always been, you know, even as a young child, the Lord has always been with me, of course,
Mm-hmm.
with us all. But I've always tried to walk closely with Him, not perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but closely with Him. And
Mm-hmm.
I think, as with my husband, I help each other to grow spiritually.
Yeah.
And I think that my ministry with me, I'm a sing, and I write songs, and things like that. That has really, I think, helped him to grow spiritually as well, and see
Mm-hmm.
things from a different perspective or a different angle when it comes to that spirituality.
So yes, I completely, I mean, like I said, just, growing up watching dad, from where you guys started together and where you are now. That's why, like, I thank God, for you both, because you're wonderful examples of that growth in love.
Thank you.
I see the love. You know what I mean? I see that you've grown confident as a woman, because you know that he has your back, and I know, he has her back, and I see that he feels strong and confident because he knows that you have his back.
Yeah.
And that partnership, that joining together in marriage is so beautiful. I heard someone say that people, for some reason, shun away, they shy away from marriage because of their reasons, that, I don't want to do this, I don't want to share this, I don't want to go. But they said that people don't truly reach their full potential often because they are, haven't, joined together, or haven't, decided or made the decision to commit to someone, and, in marriage. And a lot of times people can't live up to their full potential. They won't receive the full blessings that God has for them, because they,
Uh-huh.
won't, stop being stubborn, or whatever the case
Yeah.
may
Yeah.
be. And like I said, I've seen, people like with dad, he was, he had a business, and he was working and doing well by himself, and you were doing what you needed to do, and you were working and making things work for yourself too. But then when you came together, and then over the years, it grew, your businesses grew,
Yes.
your relationship with Christ grew. There were so many things that you were able to accomplish together on that strong front.
Yes.
And so, with that, and the experience of marriage, how do
Yes.
you feel like that's something that you could potentially agree with, that some, because I know how you feel about marriage, I know how you feel about relationships, you believe so strongly in that, I've
Yes.
heard you. So how do you feel about that?
The key is having that firm foundation.
Mm-hmm.
I It's not always easy
Mm-hmm.
to, compromise, or
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice, or,
Mm-hmm.
give up certain things, or submit, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, I don't put all my trust in a man.
Yeah.
The reason I believe that I am able to do it is
Mm-hmm.
because I put all of my trust in God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you see, when you're in marriage, it's not just the two of you. It's
Mm-hmm.
not you and your spouse.
Right.
If you don't have that third,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have first. Christ comes. He's the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
See, God is the foundation of everything in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And in my marriage, most of all, because
Yeah.
that is the union that he created. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so a lot of times I may not feel like I want to submit to him, or I may not want to sacrifice for him, but I think about the vow that I made to God.
Yeah.
See, so you can't always look at that other individual,
Mm-hmm.
that other human.
Yeah.
You have to look at God and
Yeah.
say, you know what, Lord, because I made this vow and this commitment to you first.
Mm-hmm.
See, he comes first
Mm-hmm.
before any man.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always about, oh, we get along
Mm-hmm.
just to get along. Oh, we get along because we're so, interested in one another, or
Mm-hmm.
we're so, one like that. No, it's because God is the
Yeah.
foundation of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty confident he feels that way sometimes
Yeah.
with me, because especially early on in marriage, there may have been times where he may have thought that I didn't have his back.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
See, I grew up with a single parent mother.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of things that I had to learn
Mm-hmm.
becoming a wife, and still learning every day,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's been almost 25 years. But
Mm-hmm.
you could, if you're not learning and growing,
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's not a good thing.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that I had to learn, and that's going to be for a totally different.
Yeah.
I definitely want to have a conversation about that.
Right.
I have some testimonies about that.
Yeah.
But I definitely have to say that if you're not committed to God,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just looking at this man
Mm-hmm.
who's not always going to,
Mm-hmm.
just be so favorable in your sight,
Mm-hmm.
then that's how things fail.
Yeah.
That's how marriage fail. That's how relationships fail.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have God as your strong foundation,
Yeah.
and when you submit,
Mm-hmm.
when you sacrifice,
Right.
when you you know what I'm saying, compromise on whatever it is that you need to do to make that relationship work, you're doing it as unto him and for him, for the vow and commitment that you've made to him.
Yes.
It works every time.
Yeah.
You have to take the focus off of yourself and that person, and put your focus on the one who brought you together and who will keep you together.
Yes. And that's, I mean, just saying, because we've had conversations about love a lot of times.
Yeah.
And it's always, and I'm glad that it's, you always lead, because it's all about God. You know what I'm saying? It's all about his love. That's where we get it from, like you said. And so knowing that we have to go back to that, I'm doing this because I love God. I'm staying here because I love
made a
God.
vow to
yes,
him.
You
I'm
made it.
committed
Yes.
to him.
Yes.
Him. See?
Right.
So that gets me excited.
Right.
I'm sorry, but it does, because my love for him is above the love that I have for my husband.
Right.
But because I love him, I can love my husband.
Right.
You see, you have to have that to have a successful marriage and a successful life. Yeah, any relationship.
Right. I mean, and then you, like you say, any relationship, because I see a lot of people too, outside of just male-female relationships, friendships, people have this feeling of like, well, I can't make friends, or I can't be around certain people, or I don't like people. I hear people say that a lot. I don't like that, because I love people. I love different cultures. I understand that, the type of world that we live in, it's, there's a lot of love missing,
Oh, wow.
a lot of love missing.
Yes.
And it hurts me. And I know it hurts people who also have that same love for people, because it's like you just want to serve and do what it is that you're called to do, and you can still do it, you know what I'm saying, even if you don't get that back, because it's not what we're looking for, you know what I'm saying. We're doing it because we are told to serve, and because we love to serve. What would you say to people about loving others despite what they do? And I know that it still goes back to God.
It does.
But how would you like maybe help people like navigate seeing people the way God sees them, and looking through, what I'm saying, trying to see people through his eyes versus our own flesh, carnal eyes,
Wow. When you ask that question, there are so many thoughts and answers that come to mind. One thing is, in the Bible it says, how can you love God whom you never seen? You know what I'm saying? But you see people every day, and you can't find the love from them.
Right.
So because yes, there's so much controversy.
Mm.
You have culture against culture, color
Mm-hmm.
against color, ethnicity against ethnicity,
Religion
and
or
religion against,
beliefs.
I mean, man.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all, we fight not against flesh and
Oh,
blood. It's
yes.
not the people.
Yes.
It is the wicked, evil spirits in
Right.
the world
Mm-hmm.
that we are fighting against. So
Yes.
it's not the person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we have to realize. But again, yes, it does. It goes back to God.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to see through his eyes, being
Mm-hmm.
able to love through him. Really, it's just kind of like what I said with the spouse thing. You can't always look at them.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look and see God
Yes.
and say, you know what, Lord, I'm doing this because I know that it is right in your sight.
Right.
I know that this is pleasing to you. So we cannot, look at people,
Right.
the mere human,
Mm-hmm.
because we have all fallen short.
Yes.
We are all walking in flesh, and this flesh is weak.
Mm-hmm.
This flesh is wicked and
Yeah.
evil. So we have to look beyond that, and we have
Mm-hmm.
to see through God's eyes.
Amen. I agree. I mean, like I said, we've had conversations before, and I'm so grateful to God that, I'm able to I've grown and I see
Yes.
things differently, seeing through fresh eyes, through God's eyes, like you said,
Yes.
everything and every aspect of my life, I'm trying to look at it as this, like, okay, this is God's something God blessed me with. This is something, and I'm going to, love this thing and do it as unto him,
Yes.
and so I'm really grateful, and I love, talking about love and marriage and relationships because it's a beautiful thing. God didn't put us on this earth by
Right.
ourselves. We do need each other. He did put us so that we can lean and depend on one another and learn how to have proper relationship. That proper relationship also points to relationship with him, relationship with Christ.
Right.
And so, and everything seems, when you think about it, it does reflect Christ. It does reflect his teaching. It does reflect who he is and how he loves.
Yes.
And so when you think about that, when you get to know Jesus, when you get to know him for who he is and what he's done, I feel like that can help you operate in anything, in anything.
Most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, love is so beautiful, because he is love.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he is beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
See, when we have to take the whole picture. Like I said earlier,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it can appear to be uncomfortable or, things like that. But it's to help you to grow, to become this beautiful flower. You plant the seed and you cover it with dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what's so gorgeous about that, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then even when the stem comes up or the flower comes up and it buds, first it's covered maybe green or whatever color, and it's still not that. But when that flower blossoms, that rose blossoms, and it becomes so beautiful, and that fragrance is so sweet.
Yes.
See, that is where God is trying to get us to grow to.
Yes.
That beautiful fragrance, that beautiful sight in his eyes, that's pleasing in his eyes. He wants us to live that life. That reminds me of My Life is a Love Song. I just recently released a song, My Life is a Love Song. And that's my intention every day, to live a life that is so beautiful and pleasing in his sight that it will be like sweet music in his ears. That's what love is trying to get us to become. Beautiful and pleasing in his sight. And when you're beautiful and pleasing in his sight, you're going to be beautiful and pleasing in other people's sight as well.
Yep. That's wonderful. Well, I mean, as usual, I love having, like I said, conversations, and I just appreciate you, having this conversation with everybody. I think it's an important topic. Like I said, once again, this world, it needs more love. It needs more beauty. And we have to be the ones to spread that and share that, And so I really enjoy this. I can't wait for our next one. I mean, we could go like all day.
And I think what you just said is key. It is up to each individual to choose to be a love carrier. If we all contain, we're all containers of things. They say words are if we can all just carry that love around and spread it in the world. Just one by one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just a smile, a quick hello,
Mm-hmm. A compliment. I
uh,
mean,
can you imagine
right.
how that can make a difference?
Yes,
How that
yes,
can make a difference. So,
it really
man,
can.
I'm so excited. I'm so thankful to have my daughter Aisha here with me. Um, I want to definitely continue to have conversations with you all and have her
Mhm.
with us because I think God has just put us together.
Yes,
We function so well
I
together.
think so too. Not to brag.
And that's another thing we want to definitely come back and talk about:
Hmm.
mother-daughter relationships, or
Yes.
parents and
Hmm.
children relationships. Just man, I'm excited, and I hope that this encouraged someone today. Well, you know what? I could just sit here and talk about love with you all day, every
Yes.
day. As a matter of fact,
Yes.
we should talk and think about love all day, every day, because
Hmm.
it's a part of our everyday lives, or it should be.
Yes.
And
Yes.
because God is love, and
Yes.
we've already discussed that, so I'm not going to continue on. But due to time constraints, we're going to have to leave it right here for now. Definitely want to come back and have more conversations
Yes.
about love and different relationships
Mm.
that consist of love.
Hmm.
And I'd like to have Aisha back. Aisha, I just want to thank you so much again for being my guest and interviewing me on this topic.
Yes.
If there's anything that you'd like to comment about love, your experiences, or even other topics and things about relationships that you want us to discuss,
Hmm.
then go ahead and write your comments below. We would love to hear from you. Also, I just want to thank you again for tuning in and joining in on this discussion with us. Since Aisha is my guest today, I'm going to go ahead and ask her to close it out for us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy having conversations with my mom, especially. But we are so glad that you were able to join us today, too. If you have any positive or negative experiences with love, we want to hear about it because it's good to talk about it. It's good to, maybe someone else has had that experience and then, you talk about how you work through it. We never know. It is good to talk about love. So don't forget to comment, don't forget to like and share this video with someone who you feel, may benefit from it,
Yes.
or, enjoy it as well. And also don't forget to subscribe. There will be more from Sharon and both of us.
And maybe
So,
even
yeah.
some additional guests.
Yes,
So,
for sure. But thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you next time.
yes, thank you.
But it was good to see you, and thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.